What's up, everyone? On today's Contractor Growth Network, today we are talking all about what worked in 2019 and what didn't work in 2019. Because at the end of the day, if you're not growing and moving forward, you're moving backwards. So we'll walk you through what we think is going to work for 2020 based on what we saw this year. Check it out. Hey everyone, this is Logan Shinholzer.
And I'm Alex Timms.
Welcome to Contractor Growth Network. I'm doing the last names in there for you.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, man.
Yeah, one little fun fact to lead off today, since we're talking all about what works and what we learned, is that when you meet somebody new and you throw in a last name in there, it's more professional, but also it adds accountability. So when you say your last name, it's kind of like when you talk to customer service and you say, hey, this is all messed up, and they say like, oh, don't worry, we'll fix it. Mm-hmm. That's way different than if they say, don't worry, I'll fix it for you. Mm-hmm. Because it's like you're taking ownership of it. So when somebody throws their last name in there, subconsciously you feel like, oh, wow, now I know who they, yeah, I can find them if something happens. So
yeah,
fun little fact.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more accountability, you're responsible for it.
Exactly. Yeah. So today we're talking all about 2019, what works, what didn't work, what stuff's changing, because it's always changing. Google changes its algorithm 8 times a day. So
it's frustrating.
It's unbelievably frustrating, but there's a few things that we've found that are really working pretty well for us over here when we're working with contractors. And a few things that used to work pretty well that just no longer really working anymore, but people are still putting lots of time and effort into it. So, you want to just jump right into it and start talking about it all?
Let's do it. Let's go right to it.
So this is all really relevant for remodelers, landscapers, deck building, any sort of industry or service that is lower urgency. So as far as roofing, restoration, remediation, anything like that, this stuff is still relevant, but we don't have any experience with it. So take it for what you will if you're in one of those industries, but this stuff definitely works for lower urgency. So if somebody has to do a bunch of research before hiring you, then this is going to work. Mm-hmm. So first and foremost, your website is king. So here is how homeowners buy these days. So they still do tons and tons of research. And in fact, we're doing more and more research. What I find myself doing, at least like when I'm watching a movie, is I'll pull out Wikipedia and like research everything about that. Mm-hmm. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, every time I watch like a Netflix show that I'm like, oh, I've heard of it. Like I've had friends say it was good, but I'm like, I'm gonna look for myself, and it's always like reviews on it and Netflix stuff.
Exactly. So, and like even if I'm gonna ruin the plot twist at the end,
yeah,
I want to read all about it and know what I'm in for, instead of just like, screw it, let's just wing it and like spend these next 2 hours.
I do that when I'm like into a show and I'm like, maybe it's 4 seasons, I'm into season 2. I'm like, let me look up and see if it's worth watching the next 2 seasons, because it's starting to go downhill a little bit. So then that's how I figure out if I want to watch the rest, even though I now know what's going to happen.
Exactly, and that's how people buy as well these days, because ever since CarMax came out with this whole like look up everything online and have the entire history of the car available for you. This is how people are researching these days.
Yeah.
So
secrecy's kind of like gone away for like selling, or like cars, big thing, but like wait till the end, you have to find out for yourself. It's kind of gone away with this whole new age of stuff.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast where they talked about escape rooms, and the guy said he ran a bunch of escape rooms. Like he's like one of the first people that did it in the U.S. He said what we found was we actually put all the clues and all the things online. He's like, because the people that want to know this stuff, they're going to research it enough anyway, because you can find it. You can go on Reddit, you can go on forums or blogs and see how people do it, because they'll write about it. So instead of hearing it from other people, what if we just do it ourselves? He's like, because it's the same people that want to read the ending of a movie. They're still going to go see the movie, but they just want to know how it ends.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like some people do like hate surprises. They hate to feel like not knowing what's going to happen. Yeah. So that's like perk for them.
That's that's me.
Yeah.
I don't like surprises. Yeah.
So do you actually look up the movie ending?
Yeah.
Before? Really?
Yeah, I know. Like, so like, for example, like I just watched the Harry Potter series. Never seen it before ever.
Yeah.
But like after movie 2, like I like looked up how it all ended. So I knew who died. I knew who lived, like that kind of stuff. Yeah. So like it took a bit of like the like surprise out of it, but at the same time, like I don't think I would have kept going unless I knew that like, oh, half the crew dies.
I watched Ford versus Ferrari a couple weeks ago, and the whole movie, I'm like, I thought it was going to be like one guy like Matt Damon was going to be Ford and Christian Bale was going to be Ferrari, and it's not that.
But it was Matt Damon the whole time.
Yeah, it was Matt Damon and they were both a Ford. So
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like the whole movie I'm waiting. So like, oh, is this when he switches over to Ferrari? Is this when he gets and it never happened 2.5 hours later. So it kind of like didn't ruin the movie for me. It was still great, but it was
Right.
like that whole time I'm just waiting for him to switch over and it never happened.
Exactly. So with these websites, you know, for your services, what we're trying to do is you're trying to like dispel the unknown. One of my buddies here that works a couple doors down asked me, he said, you know, do you know any contractors in the area? And I just said, let me ask you, like, why'd you ask me versus go to Google? And he said, well, I figured you know the space pretty well, so you would know people, but, you know, I just haven't thought about it yet. I said, okay, well, what do you need to see online for you to feel like you trust a contractor, and not just trust a contractor, that you actually want to call them up? And it was, one, I want to know the process. Two, I want to know the price. And I forget what the third one was, but it was those first two. And I was like, well, why do you want to know the price? Does that build trust? And he said, it doesn't build trust. I just want to know before I spend all this time calling people that my $5,000 project is actually a $15,000 project. I want to know that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, interesting. Okay. So I said, where would you find that? And he said, I would look on their website to see the pricing. So your website needs to be pretty much like your brochure, everything about you. I know a lot of people are still afraid to put pricing on their website, but in reality, like, for example, like I watched that Game Changers Netflix show, and it talks all about going vegan and stuff like that, and how all these athletes are doing it. I was like, okay, interesting. Like, let me look into that. Well, at that Camp North End thing this weekend, there was a Christmas festival where we work here. They actually had a vegan food truck that does meal prep. So I'm like, okay, let me just check out like online what it costs, because they have a pricing tab, and it just says, hey, if you want pricing, fill out all this information and we'll call you. And it's like, all right, like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want you to call me and sell me, because then I got to tell you, no, I just want to know what it costs.
Yeah. It's like a rough estimate almost.
Yeah, it's ballpark.
Yeah, that's a great comparison, because like in contracting, every house is different. So
Every house is
going to be different, but like the ballpark range is what really we're looking for.
So if your website is not building trust, not letting people know what this stuff costs, one, like for me, like I don't know if I'm going to move forward with calling them, even if they say, hey, look, it's like $150 a week, which is like, for me, like exorbitantly high. At least I know, versus like the unknown, and then I got to have that awkward conversation. So I don't think I will. So if you don't have pricing on your website and you're like making that abundantly clear of just ballpark pricing, because yes, everything is different, but at least like if they said, look, meal prep starts at $50 a week.
Yeah.
At least I know, okay, the minimum that I'm going to spend is $50. Do I want to spend that? Yes or no?
Yeah, exactly.
So your website needs to be the hub of everything. So it needs to build trust, let people know what prices are, testimonials, pictures of your work is another big one. Here's like a little fun tip. For most remodelers, landscapers, anybody who's in the visual space, usually the number one page on your website is your homepage as far as most frequently visited. Number two, you know what it is, Alex?
I would probably say the portfolio page.
It's the portfolio page.
Yeah.
It's the gallery page. And that's because that is initially what people judge you on your work. Because you could be the greatest guy ever, but if you have really ugly kitchens that you do or really ugly backyards, doesn't matter how nice you are. Nobody wants to hire you.
Yeah. And if they're not presented well either. Like
Exactly.
If they're just, bad photos or, not organized, like not taking the after photo the same spot area that you took the before photo, stuff like that too. That's a turnoff for me.
Because it also you're also like disc assessment wise, you're a C, where you're SC, right?
Yeah.
SC is empathetic and like analytical. So when you look at stuff and you see the pictures are off, or there's grammatical errors, or this and that, to a lot of the people who are high C or highly analytical, they assume that that's how the person operates as well.
Yeah.
Like when they say, oh yeah, I'll paint this blue, they really mean off blue or like something like that.
Yeah.
So if stuff's not perfect, you'll notice it.
Yeah, 100%. I do that with YouTube channels too. I won't watch your video if you like add that little spelling error that you made like on the video. I'm like, all right, that looks like crap. Just take the video down and redo it.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, that's me.
So make sure that you guys are on your website. Like, so with that being said, if the portfolio is your number 2 page, which it needs to look nice and it needs to look good, make it easy for people to get there. Because so what we do is on our websites, when you come in on that main header section, not header, I'm sorry, like background image, it's called a hero image, but on that main section where there's a button that says like call us now, right next to it is check out our portfolios, because call us now is like the home run. This is us like trying to get you to call us, sell you some work, but that's not how most people are. No. Most people that come to your website are first just trying to figure out if you even do attractive work or not. lead them to your portfolio page. So if you guys don't have a website that is guiding people, which is actually, we had a couple clients hit us up this year and say people hired me specifically for how easy it was to navigate my website.
Yeah.
So if you have a website that's hard to navigate, or it doesn't instinctually take people to the exact place that you wanted to take, you need to consider redoing it, because the harder you make it and the more time it takes people to do something, the less likely it is that you're going to sell them, because we're living in a world of speed. I watched a documentary Sunday morning with Audrey where it's all about makeup. And one company said that we will do a poll online, and whatever like winning lipstick color wins, within 5 days we can have that mass manufactured and out in the stores.
Wow.
5 days to get from a poll of a color to actually producing it, like getting a chemist, doing that, packaging it, shipping it, ready to go on the shelves in 5 days.
That's crazy.
Isn't that incredible?
That's incredible. I can't believe that.
Yeah.
Makeup, man.
And half the people listening to this take 5 days just to call a lead back.
Yeah. Which is another thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So that's like speed is everything these days, guys. So like for us especially at like, on the agency side with Full Sail, like, we put all this time and energy into a marketing campaign and it doesn't stick.
Yeah.
Or what we could do is put, a little bit of time and energy into a Facebook ad just to see if people are even going to click on it. And if people start to click on it, then we build the rest of the stuff out. But it's kind of like you going home, putting all your time and effort into a bid and all this stuff, when in reality, you didn't do your due diligence up front and even have a conversation with that person. And you just wasted all this time that you could have been doing something else. So before you go all in and say that you're a perfectionist and this and that, like, have a conversation with people. So
take a step back maybe and just dissect the situation.
Exactly. So website, make sure it looks good, make sure you have information on there, and make sure that you are guiding people on there the same way that when you have a sales process, you should be guiding people throughout the sales process. Because if you make it hard, people are going to leave, because if it's hard to navigate your website, they assume that it's going to be hard to navigate working with you. Easy enough?
Yeah.
Cool. What's the next one?
Email.
All right. Again, 70% of people that come to your website will never go there again. So how do we make sure that we capture those people's information? Email. So what do we mean by that? So let's say you're spending money on Google and you want to rank for the term, I don't know, or you want to show up for a bathroom remodeler, and you just spend $6 or $5 or $4, whatever it is, with Google to have your ad show up, and somebody types in bathroom remodelers near me. Your ad pops up, they click on it, you get charged $6. Somebody goes to your website, they're still 2 years away from actually doing it, because most people are just in the research phase, especially when they're looking online. So if you pay money, let people come to your website, and then you don't somehow try to capture their information, not a home run, but at least get a single by getting their name and their email. Now they're on your email marketing list, and this is how you build your brand, you build your trust, you build your rapport. So when that 2-year mark comes around, they're ready.
Yeah. It's like Black Friday. You realize how many companies actually have your email.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and like for me, there was a couple companies that I considered or was pretty close or bought something from because they emailed me something, and I'm like, wow, I didn't even know you guys had my email, but all right, this seems like a good deal.
So that's exactly how it all works. Is if you can get somebody's name and email, and this is like what marketers do, but a lot of marketing companies don't do a good job of saying like, well, we got you a bunch of leads, and it's like, yeah, but you got us like name and email leads, or leads that just are like wanted to download something. They didn't want to buy from us. They just wanted the guide to marketing or like the guide to like kitchen remodeling or whatever. Like that, they're just in the initial information gathering stage. They don't want to buy today. They want to buy in a couple years. But at least this way, we get them onto an email list and we slowly nurture them over the next couple of years. So when it is time for them to buy, or when we have a promotional offer to try to get them to buy a little bit faster, we've already got their information and it doesn't cost us anything. Yeah,
and especially with these low urgency companies, especially remodeling, if you're looking to get your kitchen redone, you're always looking for the perfect time to do it. So those emails are perfect because the wife is badgering the husband about, we need to get this kitchen done, And then if you have a deal, like you said, that might, make that switch to be like, all right, let's do it now. You know what I mean? So
this is like the Gary Vaynerchuk model where it's like, just if you keep putting out content, like your brand will grow and then people will find you. And then when it comes time, like they want to do work with you, but we want to take it a step further and get you on that email list, on that text list, whatever it is, just so you can stay top of mind with them. So when you do write a new blog or you do create a new video, you can email it out to them so it's not falling on deaf ears because, I mean, we've been growing our YouTube channel. We've been pretty heavy on it for the whole year. and we've gone up like 180 people, I think, or something like that. But it's a lot harder than I think anybody thinks it is,
especially when you're first starting out.
Yeah,
because no one really does know you, but we've consistently been growing that and growing that and growing that. So
it's tough. I talked to my buddy the other night, and he was like, "Yeah, I think as like a side gig, I want to like start to make money on YouTube." I'm like, okay, yeah, it's tough. Like it's a hell of a lot harder than you think it is.
Yeah, and especially with like contracting, it's like I think we're in on it early in the contracting marketing world, and I think contractors that are on YouTube, they're also in on it early still.
Yeah.
So it's like that's a perfect time to be on it, because as soon as everybody officially buys in, you're going to be the top channel because you already have something going.
Exactly. So just make sure that you're playing the long game for this stuff, and the best way to do that is to at least get their email, because there's so many times too that somebody reaches out to you, they fill out a lead form on your website, you call them, they go, wow, it's way too expensive, but what do they end up doing? Nothing. It's not like a lot of times, this is like one of the bigger problems with these lead gen sites is that, well, for example, okay, 2 years ago, I had to switch from my old healthcare provider and get a new one. So what did I do? I didn't know that this is how it worked, but I went on one of the sites that was a healthcare lead gen site. And as soon as I hit go, I got 10 different texts, 8 different phone calls, 10 different emails of just people trying to sell me stuff, which is exactly how Home Advisor, Angie's, all those things work. And what did I end up doing? I just wanted to talk to somebody to figure out what my rate would be.
Yeah.
So all these companies, in hindsight, ended up spending a bunch of money on me just for me to go, all right, well, I just wanted to know like what the rate is.
Yeah.
Like that was it.
Even close.
Yeah. And guess what I ended up doing that year for health insurance? Nothing. I literally waited another year to do it.
It frustrates you, that process.
It sucks. And I talked to like my girlfriend's parents. They went through Home Advisor one time, and he was like, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Her dad, because he said everybody calls you immediately, and they just like he's like, I just didn't know pricing. Like that's just all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
So if you can build your brand and you can get people on your email list, even if they're not ready to buy today, continue to market to them, because somewhere down the road, because most likely they're doing nothing. Most down the road, when it is time for them to get that kitchen, because again, just like Duncan over here, my buddy, that has $5K, and he's like, well, it's probably gonna actually be a $15,000 project. He said, I'm more than willing to wait on that versus like spend $5K and have it done poorly.
Yeah.
So if you can get somebody on your email list, it's everything.
It's just another domino that fell for you. When
That's
they
all it
start
is.
out, you don't want them to start out cold. You want them to start with you.
Exactly, because they're going to move forward, but most of the time, everybody just spends money on third-party lead gen sites. The people don't move forward because it's just way too expensive. Everybody's too expensive, and then you lost them. You already spent money on them, and you lost them.
Yeah.
So get them on your email list, and you'll be good to go. All right, next one.
Promos for the short term.
Promos for the short term. So here is what we're talking about with this one. So everybody has, or buyers as a whole have obstacles to buying, whether it's not the right time, they don't have enough money, they don't value it enough, whatever that is. Promotional offers will help address that. And what we mean by that is, Black Friday came out. What was the best deal that you took advantage of?
I think there was something. I think I need a new comforter, so it was like buy one get one 50% off, like a set or whatever.
Okay.
I was like, that's a weird deal for a comforter because I only need one, but
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, it works for me.
In case you pee the bed a lot.
Yeah, I'm like, that's weird, but
yeah. So with stuff like that, like if you want people to buy on your terms, you need to have a promotional offer, because that is how companies scale. This is how it all works. But again, if somebody has not built any trust with you and they literally just downloaded the guide to remodeling your kitchen, unless there's some crazy big deal, because most people are not ready to spend $50,000 right off the bat. Like they need to be nurtured a little bit. You almost need to have like a fluffer, if you will, like kind of build them up to it. And then with promotional offers, the longer people have been with you, the less of an offer you need to give them.
Yeah.
But if they're very new, like if out of the blue you saw an ad for, hey, we'll redo your entire kitchen for $500, like it would be kind of sketchy, but it needs to be such a good offer that people go, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
But the longer that you have them on this email list, the less of an offer that you need to give them.
Yeah, because it's almost like you're establishing a baseline, because I really wouldn't know what it would cost to remodel my kitchen, but if you gave me a deal and then I waited 2 months, then you gave another deal that was better, I'd be like, oh, so like that would be a better deal then.
It's kind of like trying to pick up a girl at the bar.
Yeah.
You walk up to a random girl and you go, hey, you want to go home with me? They're going to go, no way. But then let's say you build a friendship with this girl, and after a week, you go, hey, you want to go home with me? And they go, no way. And then, but if you instead became friends with them for 6 months, got to know each other, figured about everything out about each other, that kind of stuff, and then you said one night, hey, you want to go home with me? It's easier because you've built that trust and rapport with that person, and it's like a good fit.
Yeah.
Or a better fit.
Yeah.
But if you just walk up to somebody and say, hey, like, let's go do it, like, they're going to say no.
Yeah, I think the whole biggest fear with promotions is this actually a good promotion?
Right.
Am I just saying this so I would buy? And like, is there another similar company out there that's running a better one? That's always the biggest fear, I think.
It is. Like, and I know a lot of contractors say, well, we don't want to discount our rates because then it dilutes the brand. And it's like, well, that's great. You have a really good brand, but you've got no leads. So you're about to have no brand. So you pick and choose.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to discount a little bit or give stuff away for free? Or do you want to go out of business? Because like you need promotions.
It'll lead to more work in the long run.
It will,
too.
and that's exactly the goal is not to do all your work at a big discount. Your goal is to do one project at a big discount, and then now you're their contractor for life.
Yeah. Do you think that's also a selling thing? Because the upselling is huge from that point
Yeah.
too. You think they don't have that confidence to do that?
Yeah, I think it's also they were so afraid to go underwater on the first one, and I'm not even saying go underwater. Like recoup your costs.
Yeah.
Like just do that. Like just figure out like your fixed overhead for the day. So let's say you got cell phone, truck bill, all this other stuff. You add all that stuff up. Then you add that to the cost of what it's going to be to get the guys out there, like labor and materials. And then that's what you charge. Like you don't try to make a big, like you don't crush your bottom line on this, but you get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
So if you're a remodeler, right, doing design work for people at cost or hell, even free, as long as you know that if every 5 designs that I do, it leads to a really big project, you're good.
Yeah.
If you're a pond company and people are moving homes and they just moved into a new home with a crappy pond, people are pissed. It's like they inherited a house with like a stray dog that they got to now feed and take to the vet and spend a bunch of money on. But if you get in there at cost and do something for cheaper, now you're the expert. You're already in their space. So from here on out, you can say, hey, look, this was just a customer, like a first-time customer deal. But from now on, like we do maintenance, we can do renovations, because a lot of those projects end up turning in like the first-time homeowner, like first-time pond owner things that like they inherited a crappy pond that ends up turning into recurring revenue every single season, so all 4 seasons, and it ends up turning into construction and renovation. So by starting off with a very low price point option because you got your foot in the door with a hell of a deal, you now make all this money on the back end.
How many people have like you seen, since you come from the pond background, like when they inherit a pond, take the whole thing out?
Not that many.
Because I feel like that's a lot more of an expense and a lot more of a burden than just like maintaining this current pond.
Sometimes it depends on the size. If it's just like a hole in the ground that somebody like put in like a plastic tub that they got from Home Depot, then that's going to be way cheaper. But it is going to cost like between ripping everything out, because some of those rocks are really heavy, and then getting all the dirt to fill it back in. I mean, that can be pretty pricey. That's a one-time gig versus like always maintaining it. But a lot of times, what a lot of the pond guys do when they sell, somebody calls up and says, hey, like I got this crappy pond in my house. I just inherited it. They try to sell the idea of like, well, what do you want your pond to be? And these people are like,
I don't want a pond.
I don't want a pond.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to sell me something I don't need. But instead of saying, interesting, what is having this crappy pond in your yard affect, how is that affecting your life? Well, now the person can go, well, I want to have a party out there and it stinks.
Yeah.
Versus, people go, well, what do you want it to be? And they're like, I want it to be gone.
Yeah.
So they're selling on the wrong thing. So like when you do marketing around like you just moved to a new home and you got this pond there, don't market around like your pond could be beautiful. Market around like you just moved to a new home and you're probably pissed because the realtor told you that this thing was going to look okay and now it looks terrible. Let us help you.
Yeah.
So knowing what to market around is big, but by having that promotional offer to say, hey, look, let us help you. And by the way, as a first-time buyer, we'll, buy one clean and get a second one for free. We'll knock off 20% off the first one, something. And then the best thing about promotions is if it's a good promotion or not by people buying or not.
Yeah.
Because, if you have a hell of an offer, like if Hyundai has a car sale and they say 3% off, doesn't do a shit for me. No. But if they say, 25% off all 2019 models, that's a hell of a deal.
That's a good deal.
Yeah. I mean, you're saving $5-6 grand right there. Why not?
Yeah.
So that's the good thing about promotions is at the end of the day, if you put out a promo and nobody buys it, it wasn't a good enough promo. And the whole goal is to not make your whole business on that. It's just to acquire the customer base. make sure you recoup your costs, but then from here on out, you test it. You do 10 remodeling kitchen designs for free. And out of those 10 people, give it a couple months. Did any of them move forward? And if 3 people move forward, then you got about a 30% success rate. And then at that point, it's just math.
Yeah.
And
that's bold. You got to be bold enough to try things.
But people don't want to.
Yeah.
Like we're running a promotion right now where it's like, if you get any website with us, we'll write an entire year's worth of email newsletters for your business for free. Which is, it costs more than the website itself. But what we know is, one, there needs to be a reason for people to move forward. And two, this is going to get people a quick win and get them more leads every single month for the next 12 months. So what happens at the end of the 12 months? They want to keep going.
They're going to realize why you got those leads.
Exactly.
And,
So if we don't give that up to the up front, then what happens? People are never going to move forward and experience it.
Siri.
Sorry, Siri didn't. Yeah, she's freaking out over here. So that's the idea, guys. With promotions, it's not to get your company in the red and then try to make up on the back end. It's really, you give a little bit away on the front end and then you step in and you upsell from there.
Yeah.
Easy enough?
Makes sense for me.
All right. Next thing is going to be going back to the basics with video. So a lot of people are afraid of doing YouTube because it's such an undertaking with everything, which it is, right? So with YouTube, you don't have to go that big. All you really have to do is, and we talked about this on a previous podcast, if you just record, like let's say you're on a 3-week project, record just like a 2-minute recap of what you did for the day at the end of every day, and you post that on YouTube into a playlist, and then you send that out to people. What that does is when a homeowner goes, hey, I want you to remodel my kitchen, what's the process look like? Because again, people want transparency. You say, actually, I've got a 3-week project. Each day we recap it for 2 minutes, kind of send you that playlist, and now they've seen literally step by step of how it goes.
Yeah.
So it builds trust. It builds rapport. They know what's going on. It demystifies everything. It does so much stuff for you that it's incredible.
Yeah.
But people don't want to do it because they think, oh, I gotta learn how to video edit and I gotta get all this camera work and this and that. But like that guy Martin did it, and he's the one that we talked about on the podcast before. He just does it with an iPhone.
Yeah.
And that's it.
No.
Doesn't even edit
it. Especially, you don't have to be great quality with that stuff.
No.
Because that is so unique in the space that people just are glad that it's out there and they can see it and it's up there. And especially with like you're hitting your 30s soon, like that, you're the perfect clientele for like new people to like want to get a house soon. Like you're going to be what people want to target, and you're more on YouTube than the 60-year-olds that weren't always on YouTube. So that's like where you have to kind of go if you want to attract the new millennial crowd.
You just got to do it.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. It's because it is like, that's a good point you brought up. The fact that nobody else is doing it. It's the same thing when you walked into CVS the other day, and the person behind the counter said good morning to me. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I still remember it.
Do that in Walgreens too.
Yeah. I'm like, are you talking to me? Like, do I owe you money now? Like,
yeah.
But because it's just so unexpected. But when a remodeler does that, or a contractor does that, because it is so unexpected, people will remember it and they will share it with their friends and this and that. So it doesn't take that much, but it just takes something.
Yeah.
And again, perfection is the enemy of progress.
Yeah. You're a contractor. You're not a cinematographer. You're not a director.
Yeah.
People know that. Like, you don't have to pretend that you are. And honestly, like, if I wasn't totally happy with what they did at my house, but the video was like this award-winning, documentary, I'd be like, well, he spent more time doing the video than he would my house. So it's almost like you kind of want it to be a little crappy quality.
You're blue collar. Like, that's the thing, man. Like,
you're not supposed to be good with computers.
No. Like, the only rule with that is the audio needs to be good, because if you're going to speak, you got to have good audio. But again, you can still be holding the camera with your hand. It can be just as long as you just start doing it, people will get so afraid. They get this paralysis by analysis, and they don't move forward. And then if this recession hits like everybody thinks it's going to, which they've been saying it for 4 years now, the contractors that have an email list, the contractors that have a YouTube presence, the contractors that are known in the community, in their B&I groups, in their Chamber of Commerces, those are the ones that are going to stay around. The ones that are only going for the ready-to-buy buyers, using these lead gen sites, they're the ones that are SOL, unless they know how to tap back into that customer base. But if they don't, if they're only relying on like Home Advisor and stuff like that, they most likely don't know how to tap back into it because they're just so self-reliant on this that they're in trouble.
Yeah.
So this, like everything that we're talking about here, guys, is aside from the promotions, everything is all about building for the long term, building a brand, because if your goal is, because like every small business, we all I own a small business. We all think so short term. We all think, how does this move affect the bottom line tomorrow? Not how does this move affect the brand in 10 years?
Yeah.
Because most of us always say like, oh, I want to be around to pass this off to my kids, but nobody thinks that far. The only thing they do to pass it off to their kids is they name the company after their last name and go, well, I built this company to pass it off. It's like, well, great. Why don't you build the brand so when you hand it to your son, it's not a $200,000 a year company that is barely struggling to break even. Why don't you invest right now, suck it up, put in the work, do the stuff that you don't want to do. It doesn't take that long to record a 2-minute video every day. How long does it take you to record a 2-minute video?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. That's it.
Yeah.
But you just got to do it.
Yeah.
And people just don't want to do it. And they think, well, next year's my year. Then you're going to get 2 projects into 2020. You're going to go, oh, I forgot about that. 2021 is going to be my year. And at that point, it might be too late.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, new year, it's a great way to start off. Make that a resolution.
Just do it. So, and the last one is going to be that we're talking about today that we noticed for this year is Facebook is dead as far as organic stuff. So unless the only organic posting, what we mean by organic is when you take a picture, record a video, and you post it up to Facebook, most of the people that end up liking it, sharing it, that kind of stuff are your friends and family, which is great. However, not your client base.
No, not at all.
So if you're going to be using Facebook, either one, be very active in Facebook community groups, because that stuff does work for organic, or two, what still works unbelievably well, advertising.
Yeah.
Advertising still works because that's the platform that Facebook is these days. It's an auction site. Have you ever noticed that every single earnings report that comes out, Facebook makes more money hand over fist? It's because they're an auction site and they monetize what they do. So if you're not spending money with them, you're SOL. And if you're waiting to figure out this Facebook stuff, like wait, like all these big brands, they're gonna come in. Like all the people that like Geico, when they're spending all this money on billboards around here in Charlotte, when they eventually go, screw it, let's just put that billboard money into Facebook ads. Now we're going to be competing with Geico because we don't have a contractor-specific Facebook newsfeed and an insurance-specific Facebook newsfeed. It's one Facebook newsfeed.
Yeah.
So whatever brands your clients like, which if you're a high-end remodeler, which is most everybody I talk to, or a high-end landscaper,
Yeah.
I'm going to say what brands they like. They're going to say Mercedes. They're going to say Apple. They're going to say Costco. And guess what the marketing budgets of Mercedes, Apple, and Costco are?
Millions and millions of dollars.
So much money.
Yeah.
And if you wait and wait and wait, that's fine, but eventually it's going to come back and bite you. The same way if you knew that Southern California, 100 years ago, if you said, hey, look, you can buy all this land. It's super cheap right now. It's this place called Southern California. You would jump on it.
Yeah.
Because hindsight's 20/20. And that's how all this stuff is. Online is just real estate. There's an online real estate, and that is where your brand comes in. But if you wait too long because you don't have the time to do YouTube videos, or you don't have the time to set up an email series, like everybody, like so many contractors and so many small businesses say, I don't really care about the marketing stuff. I don't really care to figure it out. You just do it for me. But in reality, without marketing, there is no business.
Yeah.
So why would it not make sense to at least understand how this stuff works? Maybe not like how to technically do it all, but from a conceptual standpoint, if you don't understand this stuff, you are at a huge disadvantage, because if you for some reason can't afford to pay Home Advisor anymore, can't afford to pay lead gen services anymore, how are you going to market?
Yeah.
You don't know.
No. I mean, I think it's just, at this point, it's just ignorance to like not know anything about Facebook.
Because it's
ads.
easier.
Yeah, it's so much easier now. It's like more popular. Like you said, like just posting a picture on Facebook is not doing it anymore. So you have to, if you never seen the blue button boost post and be curious, like a YouTube video will show you in about 10 minutes how to boost the whole post. Like that's like it's just laziness at this point.
We went up to up in Jersey. I was up there with a client this past week, and they said, Logan, we boosted this post, spent $200, and every person that liked it, for some reason, they're all middle-aged Latino men in New York City, which their ideal client is a 40 to 55-year-old white woman not in New York City.
Yeah.
So this is not their demographic, but because people that like, if you don't understand like how the stuff works, like that's fine, but take the time to figure this stuff out, at least on a basic level.
Like that's not piquing your curiosity, like
yeah,
why
like,
that happened.
Like why did this happen?
Yeah.
Like, great. Like we just spent $200, but like, like it's on the wrong crowd, unless there's like this huge like underground like water feature scene in New York City amongst like Latino men.
Yeah.
But either way,
Huge fetish over
yeah,
there.
yeah, nice. But I mean, like, to not understand this stuff is so crazy to me. It's like, yeah, I'm just not really good with numbers. So like, I have a bookkeeper, and it's like, I have a bookkeeper and CPA too, but I still understand what reconciling means and how to do it.
That's an easy way to get ripped off, too.
Yeah,
if you don't
money
have
in,
anything.
money out. Same with marketing. If you don't understand this stuff and you go, well, I got a marketing company, it's just not working. Like, yes, find a company, if you have a marketing company, that at least explains to you in layman's terms how this stuff works. But if you have no idea how this works or how that works, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You're totally screwed, because if something happens and there's a slowdown in the economy, or if you end up like money gets tight and you got to do all this stuff yourself, you're going to now hate your life because you should have proactively done this stuff. And it's not crazy hard. All we're talking about is 2-minute videos at the end of each project going on YouTube.
Yeah.
With Facebook, it's dying. Don't spend all your time on that. Take the 2 minutes that you were going to post that picture of, like, you know, your truck wrap to say, hey, look at us around town, which nobody gives a about that. They're going to see it around town.
Yeah.
Don't post that stuff. So basic YouTube video, that still works. Get people on your email list, because once you get them on their email list, it costs you nothing to email them because you already have their information. You don't have to spend advertising dollars. You can literally just email that person something.
Yeah.
All right, next big thing is going to be, if you want for the short term, do promotions. Greatest thing about promotions is you know if it's a shitty promotion or not, because the fact that nobody's buying it. So you may be thinking, well, 20% off is really great. But if nobody buys it, it's great that you think it is, but the market's the market.
Yeah.
Sorry, like, you know, like, I'm great that you value your services this high, but if nobody else does, then you're going to have really high self-esteem and a really low dollar amount in your bank account.
Yeah.
So
bad combination.
Yeah, like what would you rather have? Like, your ego hurt a little bit by somebody wanting to bargain, or your ego hurt a lot of it because you have no money to support your family?
You could buy a new ego with all the money that's coming in there.
Exactly. So promotions are big. Website's still the king of everything, and they're getting more and more important. So if you're one of those people that says, hey, I don't need a website, you're a SOL.
Yeah, you do.
I didn't want to say the F word again, but you're SOL.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys have this stuff set up. So what does 2020 look like? A hell of a lot more of the same stuff that we're talking about now. Email. Build that up. Just went to a client. They started heavily doing email marketing 2 years ago. Their numbers went from 2.6 to 3.2 to 4.1 year over year. Could you imagine going, 2.6 is like, wow, that's amazing. I can't believe we're doing this well. And then 2 years later, you're breaking the $4 million mark.
That's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I said, like, what was the thing? He said, well, actually, this was like when we started doing email marketing. Is it coincidental? No, because you're building relationships.
It's like I said, it's such a good space to do it into, because it's not that common.
It's not.
It's like, if you do it, you're different and you stand out and you put yourself ahead of so many other companies you had no idea.
My buddy has a house here in Charlotte, and it's funny. He like works in like a startup, and he was talking. He was like, yeah, man. He's like, I had contractors come to my house. I have no idea who they are, like, or who they were. He was like, it was a bad situation, this and that. He's like, Logan, what if with your contractors, if you just like emailed out like once a month and just saying to people like, hey, we're still here. He was like, that would help me as a homeowner a lot. And I was like, well, that's funny, because like that's exactly what we do.
Yeah.
But they don't. Like, they just forget about, you do work with a client, and 10 years later when that person wants to redo their bathroom again or wants to get the exterior of their home painted again, they don't know who did it because it's been 10 freaking years.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know that. Like, we've had stuff that we wanted to do done. Like, oh, this guy painted it like 7 years ago. Let's call him up. And he doesn't work for that company anymore. Where is he? Oh, we have no idea.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm actually doing it on the side now. It's like, well, how are we supposed to know that?
Right. So if you just have an email list and you just touch base with people, you're going to build that trust and rapport. It's like with like Premier. I think it's like almost every email we send out, leads come back. It's just like that, because it's like, even if it's a really bad email, it's just like people just see like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to call them. Let me just respond and say, hey, I want to move forward with this.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's almost just an excuse. And we like almost play a game of like, could we make a really shitty email and still get leads? Like,
exactly.
So if you don't have this stuff being built up for the future, and the good companies do, you're screwed.
Listen, there's buzzwords like content. Like when I first got out of college, everyone wanted to say content. What's content? It's like, well, it's the future. So if you're ignoring it back then and you're still ignoring it going into 2020, you're falling behind. You need to get content, email, Facebook ads, all this stuff. You just need to get going with it.
And it sounds overwhelming, and trust me, it is.
It is, but take it one step at a time. You don't have to do all three today.
No, just do one.
Yeah.
Start with the video. do this. If there's one thing for 2020, get your YouTube stuff started. And if you don't want to do all this editing, just do, at the end of every day of a project, you're going to create a playlist. You're going to call this one, I don't know, Charlotte Kitchen, whatever you want to call it. And every day from start to finish, you're going to do a 2-minute video and you're going to post it, and that's going to be a playlist. And then every project for 2020, you're going to have that. So at the end of the year, if you do 20 projects, you have 20 video portfolios that anytime somebody says, I want a kitchen with white shaker cabinets, you go, oh, I actually have the exact project. Let me send it out to you.
Yeah.
Or they say, oh, I want this, this, and this. Like, okay, actually, I got one just like it. Let me send it out to you. That's how easy this stuff is. So yes, it's marketing, but it's also sales.
Yeah.
So,
they all tie in with each other. That's the thing. So you just do one, you're going to realize you need the other one too.
Exactly.
So.
And the only other thing that we're doing big for next year is going to be more event-based stuff. And what I mean by that is events, whether it's Parade of Homes, it's remodeling seminars, whatever that stuff is how you build trust and rapport with high-end clients, because those are the ones that are more willing to show up at your event, show up at your house, show up at whatever you got going on. So we're going to start doing more and more of that for our clients, where it's like using the power of Facebook and using the power of Google to drive the right clients to those events. So you as a contractor, if you are terrible at sales and you just smell bad or whatever, the events probably won't work for you.
No.
But if you have a good presence and people like you and like to talk to you, you can use social media to find people that are looking to buy or at least start a relationship. And then if you host an event, get them there and you're golden.
Yeah.
But you got to take the time to do it, which most people don't want to do because they have family time, which is great, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't grow a company hand over fist, but also only work from 9 to 5 every day.
Yeah. You got to sacrifice a little bit.
You got to sacrifice a little bit. Not at all. And it's only got to be for a certain amount of time. But once you're there, you're there. Suck it up. Make 2020 your year. And you'll feel a hell of a lot better this time next year.
100%.
Easy enough?
Love it.
If you want to learn how to do any of this stuff, contractorgrowthnetwork.com. We talk about all this stuff. Today, I guess I was pretty fired up. I didn't really sleep too much last night, so
yeah, you're passionate about this.
Yeah, it's just because it's like to me, it just seems basic, but we're also marketing guys, so like it makes sense.
And we're the younger demographic where it's coming in. Like we're soon gonna become the people that they're gonna have to, advertise to or like get attention to, and this is how we want to look.
Yes.
So it's like very frustrating when no one's really doing it,
At all, because it's more so like they're afraid or it's like this or that, but it's like 2 minutes a day at the end of a project. That's like all we're asking
all I'm looking for.
And the companies that are doing that, those are the ones that within the next 3 years are going to grow, and the ones that are not and they're afraid to jump off are the ones that are going to start to go away because they have this big brand in the community. But even like with Todd, Tribble's been around for a long time, and he is embracing this stuff. He's been going through the blueprint course, like the contractorgrowthnetwork.com stuff, and he'll text me at the end of each webinar and go, great, like that one. Or he's like, hey, and this is the perfect time of year to be going through this stuff because we're slowing down. Love it. And I said, like, is it too much? Is it not specific enough? He's like, no, it's perfect. He's like, it's good. It's like, it's not overkill, but at the same time, it's enough information that like I understand how to do this stuff. So it's obviously that's like a bit of a pitch, but either way, it makes sense. Like we're not doing this stuff to like make a bunch of money. We're doing this stuff literally because like helping those that want to actually help themselves is like, I think like my life's goal.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to help yourself and you want to just sit back and try to let the leads roll in, then we're not going to be a right fit.
Yeah, it's very rewarding to see a contractor actually want to learn this stuff and grow it.
It is.
It's totally different from what they're used to, and it's very rewarding to be able to help them do that.
And you can use this in any industry. You leave here and you go want to sell cars. Like imagine if you had a whole YouTube channel about, like if you're a car salesman, about how to negotiate with car salesmen.
Yeah.
And then somebody comes in and goes, well, I want to talk to Logan because I watch all of his videos and I know any of the tricks that he's going to try to pull.
I can
counteract. Like that's literally all you're trying to do here, guys. You're just trying to educate your peeps, show them what you can do, and they'll trust you and they'll love you.
Yeah, 100%.
Easy enough? We already told them the call to action, contractorgrowthnetwork.com.
Like this video on YouTube. Subscribe.
Yeah. Guys, I hope this helps. Get ready. Like 2019 was a good year. I know we beat all of our goals and stuff, but again, we're also building for the long term, so I'm pumped for that.
Start of a new decade, so start
That's
making
right.
new habits.
New decade, new company maybe.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.